How do law enforcement officers end up raiding the wrong houses? What happens when innocent families become victims of these mistakes? In this video, we'll dive into 4 incidents where cops made the alarming error of targeting the wrong homes. In number 1, a tragic shooting unfolds. A New Mexico man is killed after police respond to the wrong address.
The evening Farmington police shot and killed a man after going to the wrong address.
Body camera footage reveals a fatal shooting in Farmington, New Mexico, where police mistakenly responded to the wrong address after receiving an emergency call.
Sir, I understand, but I don't know where you are.
Well, I don't know where the I am either, obviously, because I just got beaten the sense out of it.
Can you ask?
No, I'm not going to ask for the address because she doesn't want it given out.
5308 Valley View.
The incident, which occurred on April 5th, resulted in the tragic death of 52-year-old Robert Dotson. Law enforcement expressed their condolences to the Dotson family.
Just in general, for us, this is a very dark day for Farmington PD, for our community, for the Dotson family. I extend nothing but my deepest condolences to the Dotson family.
Acknowledging the profound impact of the event on the community. The sequence of events started when officers from the Farmington Police Department arrived at Dotson's residence in response to a domestic violence call. The body camera footage captures the officers approaching the front door, immediately announcing their presence and urging anyone inside to come out.
Police department. Farmington Police.
As no response is received, the officers contact dispatch and request a callback to the original caller, intending to have them come out the front door. At that time, the officers realize they may have the wrong address, leading to a lighthearted moment of laughter, unaware of the grave mistake that's about to unfold.
Call him back. Come to the door.
Confirming no one's come to the door?
Hey, firm, if you can call the RP back and have him come to the door.
So, bro, see the answer.
It might have been 4308.
Is it 43 or 5308? That's what it said right there, right?
It's 308 Valley View Avenue. Had a confidence factor.
Don't tell me I'm wrong, God.
As fate would have it, Robert Dotson emerges from his home and approaches the front door. The officers fired shots and hastily reported the incident as they retreated from the scene. The body cam footage captures the urgency and chaos that followed, with additional shots being fired when Kimberly Jones Dotson, Robert Dotson's wife, also appears at the front door, armed and unaware that they were the police.
Hey. Please don't.
The aftermath of the shooting leaves Kimberly Jones Dotson extremely distraught, crying out in anguish as officers instruct her to put her hands up. Another angle from a different body cam shows her emotional reaction the moment she realizes her husband's been shot.
This is the Farmington Police Department! Come out with your hands up, open, and empty!
The situation intensifies as she fires at the officers before realizing that they're law enforcement. As the tragedy unfolds, officers call for Kimberly Jones Dotson to surrender, urging her to come out with her hands up. She tearfully pleads, mentioning that her children are upstairs.
Doors open.
Ma'am, come out to me.
Come out with your hands up, open and empty!
It's really important so we can get him help. Somebody glove up. Ma'am,
come out here!
Police department! If you can hear me, you need to come out with your hands up, open and empty.
I think he's down right inside the door.
Eventually, the officers approached and handcuffed her, while expressing concern for the children within the home.
Kids! Police! Kids, all right? Kids are coming in, police!
Robert Dotson succumbs to his injuries and is pronounced dead at the scene. Authorities emphasize that Dotson was not the subject of the initial emergency call, making the outcome even more tragic. The officers involved in the shooting were placed on paid administrative leave, with their identities still not disclosed to the public. The incident remains under investigation by the New Mexico State Police. As the community grapples with the aftermath of this devastating event, The Dotson family's attorney announced a press conference to shed further light on the incident. The release of the body cam footage has caused a lot of public scrutiny, raising questions about response protocols, and the tragedy being caused by nothing more than an incorrect address. If you think that was way too much, then next is a video of police officers rating the wrong address with a naked woman inside. But before that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content like this. Number 2. Chicago mayor faces backlash after police body cam video exposes wrongful raid. Startling body camera footage is revealed, shedding light on an illegal raid by Chicago police officers. The incident, which took place on February 22, 2019, involved officers storming into the home of Anjanette Young, armed with a search warrant for the wrong address. The footage recently surfaced in media reports.
You see them running up to the apartment complex with the battering ram in their hand.
Chicago police search warrant! Go!
And it sparked outrage and demands of a thorough investigation from both the victim and city officials. In the footage, she can be heard crying out to the officers that they've got the wrong address and that she doesn't know what they're doing in her house.
You need to tell me what you're looking for! What are you looking for? Oh my God, this cannot be right! How is this legal? You have the wrong place! You got the wrong house! You got the wrong house!
Anjanette Young, standing alongside her attorney, bravely shared what she had experienced during a press conference outside police headquarters. The footage captured the painful moment when officers entered her home despite having the wrong address. Young, completely vulnerable and naked, pleads with the officers, telling them that they're making a big mistake. As the officers continue with their search, Young recounts the humiliating and traumatizing event, emphasizing that no one should have to endure such a violation of their privacy and dignity. The body cam footage that was revealed has created controversy, as it's come to light that Chicago Mayor Lightfoot was unaware that it existed until it was exposed to the media. In her initial response, the mayor claimed that it had never been brought to her attention. Young filed a Freedom of Information Act request last year to obtain the footage, but the police department turned her down and also denied a separate FOIA request filed by CBS 2, which was doing a series on police raids in the city. It took intervention from a federal court to get the police to release the video to Young's lawyer as part of her lawsuit against the department. When they learned that CBS 2 was planning to air the video, the city's lawyers filed an emergency motion claiming that Young and her attorney had violated a confidential agreement and also asked for sanctions against Young. Mayor Lightfoot, trying to address the gravity of the situation, offered a public apology, expressing deep remorse and distress over the invasion of the woman's home and the subsequent trauma she endured. She deemed the incident unacceptable and stressed that it never should have occurred. What's your opinion about the video? Let us know in the comments. Can the police be this reckless? Well, the next video shows when police officers raid the wrong home and handcuff a lady thinking she's the suspect. Number 3. JSO bursts into her home and handcuffs the wrong suspect. A shocking case of mistaken identity unfolds as Jacksonville police enter a woman's home without a warrant. Christy Jackson, a resident of the apartment on Moncrief Road, is now demanding accountability after officers allegedly threw her to the ground and handcuffed her. The incident was captured on a cell phone and sheds light on the chaotic and distressing event. According to Jackson, everything started when JSO officers knocked on her door, mistakenly believing that she was Mrs. Cooper, the female suspect they were searching for. Despite Jackson repeatedly denying to be Mrs. Cooper, she says that officers barged into her home without permission. The situation quickly escalated as Jackson was forcibly taken down on her kitchen floor, with one officer allegedly kicking and kneeing her. The chaos inside Jackson's home is evident in the cell phone video, as she pleads for help and tries to understand what's happening. At one point, an officer can be heard saying that they're also trying to figure out the situation. Jackson's family members are seen in the video attempting to locate her ID to verify her identity and address.
What's going on?
If you get her ID and verify that she lives in this apartment, it would help.
Man, get my phone. Mama, where's it at? How? Officer, I didn't do nothing. That's what we were trying to figure out. Mama. Go get my ID, please. What's going on, officer?
I need her ID. That's all I need.
Eventually, JSO officers handcuff Jackson and place her in the back of a squad car, where she's questioned without being informed of her rights or the reason she's being detained. Jackson noticed the officers had 4 pictures of the person they were looking for, with none of them resembling her skin or hair color.
And out of all 4 pictures, we don't look skin color not alike, hair color not alike.
Jackson said 30 minutes later, police let her go and told her it was a case of mistaken identity because of her hair color. She said one JSO officer said he was sorry, but she said her family is still traumatized by what happened. Jackson said she wants changes, that they stop it, that they stop brutalizing people like they're doing. Communicate with people instead of the first thing they want to do is put their hands on them and slam them on the ground, Jackson said. While one officer did apologize, Jackson's family remains traumatized by the incident, as their home became the scene of unnecessary aggression and force. But the next video is even more disturbing. Number 4. Chicago Police's community safety team accused of botching a raid after officials promised reforms.
Image of Chicago police raiding a family's home might have gone under the radar for one detail: when it was taken, 11 days after the city publicly announced reforms to the way officers get and obtain search warrants.
An investigation in Chicago reveals yet another case of a police raid on a family's home, seemingly disregarding the recently announced reforms regarding search warrants. The incident occurred just 11 days after the city publicly pledged to improve the process of obtaining and executing search warrants, following previous reports of numerous wrongful raids on innocent families. George Garcia and his family were startled on a Sunday morning as a raid team forcefully approached their home. In this particular case, the police officers were armed with guns and a battering ram and attempted to break down the door. However, it was later discovered that the search warrant they possessed was not properly approved, according to Chicago Police Department policy. Before the March 3rd news conference, it was required that a lieutenant or above verify and approve all search warrants. However, the city announced that an even higher rank, a deputy chief, has to sign off on warrants before they're presented to a judge. Unfortunately, these new safeguards were not followed during the raid on Garcia's home.
You were yelling out of the top window.
Yes. Stop hitting the door. I will open it.
George Garcia tried to communicate with the officers from a window, telling them he would open the door for them.
Open the door!
However, he was instructed to stay in place while the police forcefully entered.
Stay right there. Let me stay right there. Make sure we sit hands. No problem. Stay right there. They're breaking the door. Hey, come on. The door's already open.
When they got in, the raid team encountered Garcia's family, including his 12-year-old and 3-year-old sons. The children were separated from their parents and placed in another room, causing them distress and fear.
2 children are screaming, screaming for their parents.
In early 2020, the Chicago Police Department changed its search warrant policy, adding a requirement that officers plan for raids in which children might be present, after CBS 2 uncovered multiple incidents in which police officers pointed their guns at children. The 2020 policy, prompted by the CBS 2 investigation, added a requirement that officers will maintain a sensitive approach and use due care to safeguard emotional and physical well-being to minimize trauma following the execution of a search warrant where children are present. These protections for children were strengthened once more when on May 14, the department announced even more new policies that would officially end up going into effect on May 28th. During the raid, Garcia's apartment was ransacked, personal belongings were destroyed, and other units in the building were searched despite not being covered by the warrant. The officers involved in the raid were part of Police Superintendent David Brown's newly formed community safety team, which was intended to improve trust between the police and the public. The Garcia family expressed their disappointment and frustration with how they were treated and its lasting impact on their children. The raid team allegedly showed disrespect and even mocked the family during the raid. The clips in this video are brought to us by Inside Edition, Law and Crime Network, ABC 7 Chicago, News 4 Jax, and CBS Chicago. Check out the description below for a link to their channel and give them the credit they deserve. If you liked the video, then you'll like this one on the left as well, so click now for more content.